Hello, and in today's video I'm going to show you a technique for capturing moving objects such as people, trains, cars, bicycles and so on, and all done in a way that minimizes the chances of crashing while capturing them. Anyone that's tried to follow vehicles that are moving quickly will have found it's very hard to keep the object in shot while trying to control the drone flight. This is particularly true if you're flying backwards or off to the side, or the path you need to follow is curving or has obstacles such as trees or power lines. In those cases, this technique is going to be a fantastic way to make you look like an amazing pilot. Now you can do this with ActiveTrack, of course, but that doesn't work so well in cases where the object is moving too fast to get a lock, or where the track can be lost because of things like trees or bridges. The technique I'm going to show allows you to set up the flight path the drone will follow before the vehicle arrives, and then have the drone follow that path while you control the speed, the drone heading, and the gimbal angle. When you do this, the drone not only follows the path you set up horizontally, but it can also automatically adjust the altitude to fly over trees and other obstacles. So let's quickly talk about when you cannot use this. This technique works when you know the path that your target will be following, such as roads, paths, or rail lines. So you can use this to capture video of moving cars, bikes, and trains. And since you can match the speed relatively easily, it's not only great for video, but it can also be used for those creative photos where the vehicle is sharp and the background is blurry. Where you can't use this is in wide open areas, such as fields or a wide river, since you can't be totally sure where the object you're going to film will be. But now we know where we can use it, let's get started. This should work with any of the modern drones that have the waypoint feature. So the Mavic 3, the Air 2 and 3, the Mini 4 Pro, etc. I'm going to show you on a Mavic 3 Pro. First, there are two ways to do this. One is to create the path before you get on site. You don't need the drone connected, and you can just go into Waypoints and map out your path there. That works, but I'm going to show you how to do it using the drone in the air, since that's how I use it most of the time. Both work, but I find setting it up on site a little more accurate. For this demonstration, I'm going to follow this curving road around a commercial area and then use it to follow any cars that come into shot. To do this, you'll need to be in waypoint mode, which you can do by clicking on the path icon on the left-hand side of the screen. Start by creating a path where you want the drone to fly. In this case, I want to stay off to the side of the road and follow the path around the bend. As I said, you can do this by using the controller by tapping on the screen, but I prefer to fly over it and then drop markers along the way using the C1 button. So I'm going to fly along the route. When doing this, it's important to recognize that the software will try to create a smooth path. So if the angles are too sharp, you may find that the path bends away from where you want it to be. Add enough path markers to get the path you need and check on the screen where the line goes to make sure it's what you expected. Once you have the path marked out, it's time to set up the parameters. Tap on waypoint 1 and then set the heading to manual, and then click Apply to All. That will change the heading mode for all of the waypoints to manual. Now tap on Gimbal Tilt, set that to manual, and again click Apply to All. Click on the back icon to go back to the mission settings and click the three dots. Change the global speed to be your best guess of what the target will be traveling at. It doesn't have to be precise, as we will be controlling the speed manually, but if you get this right, this can make life much easier during the actual flight. I set mine to about 20 miles per hour, which is close to the speed the cars will be driving around here. For the end of the flight, if you're going to be using this capture multiple times, then set it to back to start. Otherwise, leave it at RTH if you're just expecting to do one capture. At this point, we're ready, and you can press Go to start the flight. The drone will fly back to the start point and if you do nothing, will start flying the route at the speed you set up in the parameters. But here's where the magic comes in. Let the mission just get started and then pull all the way back on the right stick. When you do that, the drone will slow down and come to a stop, and it will stay stopped until you let go of the stick. So keep that stick held back. Now you can adjust the gimbal angle and heading to set up to wait for your vehicle to come into shot. When a vehicle does come into shot, let go of the stick. The drone will speed up to the global speed you set earlier. If you guessed correctly on the speed, then the drone will fly at the same speed as the vehicle. But most likely you will need to adjust the speed, which you can do by pushing the right stick forward for faster or backward for slower. Moving the right stick left or right will have no effect on the path, as the path is now fully automatic and it will follow the path that you set up earlier. Since we set the drone heading to manual, you can now use the left stick to control the drone direction. The altitude will not be affected, so don't worry if you accidentally push up or down. And finally, since we set the gimbal angle to manual, we can use the gimbal wheel to control the gimbal angle. It's still a lot to do, but it's way easier than trying to worry about the path the drone is going to follow. Just control the speed and the drone heading. You can keep track of how close you are to the end of the path by looking at the waypoint count. And if you're going to allow the vehicle to pass you, which is a cool shot, then make sure you do that before it reaches the end. And that's all there is to it. As long as you have time to set up ahead of time, you can now capture moving objects like a pro, even flying over trees mid-flight. Not only that, but you can save the missions in the usual way and run them again later if you wish. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful. If you create any cool videos this way, I'd love to see them, so drop a link here. As always, I love to hear from you, so please like the video, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.